You want answers?
Happy New Year!
Order's in full effect. Order, order, order.
Your rebuttal.
Welcome to Trivial Debates.
Is there not supposed to be a camera here? There we go. All right. Welcome to this month's edition of Trivial Debates, the ultimate pop culture challenge. I'm your host today, Jody Simpson, and we have some awesome new debates this month. Each episode, our panelists will be judged and scored. Each episode? Is that true? Okay. Will be judged and scored on their arguments for facts, passion, and creativity, as well as how much they could be a dick to each other. And that's just something I added in, but that's cool. Anyway, our panels this week are Jeff Mader. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm good.
New father. How's new fatherhood treating you?
It's okay. 5 months in,
Yeah, you're getting the hang of it?
Yep.
Excellent. All right. And our second panelist today is Davan Skelhorn. How are you, Davan?
Not too bad. I'm known as Papa Culture today.
Papa culture?
Yeah, Papa.
Is that what you want to be officially referred to as?
I'll leave that up to you. You're the host.
Well, then I'm
Listen
not
to
going
your
to.
heart.
All right.
Okay.
And last but not least, we have Chris Murphy.
Shaking, folks.
How you doing, Chris?
I hope pop culture. I'm doing good. I hope pop culture is ready for an intellectual smackdown this evening.
No, I hope so too.
Afternoon or
Well,
this morning, depending on what
depends
time
on
you're
when you're
watching
listening.
this. It doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is how
I
the
brought
show
my
works.
bat list.
What's that?
I'm ready. I brought my bat list. I'm ready.
You've
I
already
got my
been
water.
You've been docked 2 points. All right.
Oh.
How the show works. There are 6 rounds plus a speed round by our top 2 panelists. We have categories such as movies, television, music, sports, history, and we have a wild card where anything goes, or basically whatever I decided to pick, and that's what's going on. Sam says, "Hey guys."
I'm saying.
And Jamil says, "I'm hungover, but
Hey,
can't
boys.
wait."
Jamil
All right,
calling in
Jamil.
from San Diego.
Yeah, I think Jamil's in San Diego. He was at Comic-Con there, I believe.
It
so
means-
he had a great time.
Living the nerdy dream.
It means a whale's vagina.
It's Nerd Christmas, as a lot of people say. We want people to be passionate, but not personally mean, even though I'm kind of okay with that. To
Shut
one
up,
another.
Judge.
2 points docked. All right, you're never gonna win this.
No.
You know now.
I'm mathematically out already.
You're already out. Keep in mind, you can also skip to a
See
new
everyone.
debate by you can skip to a new debate by looking at the time indexes in the descriptions and going to the battles that interest you the most. Anyway, as Dave and some other people might say, let's get ready to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And our first category is movies. What was the best horror movie made in the 1980s? And we're going to start with Jeff.
Okay. I went with The Shining.
The Shining.
So much to say. Okay, the reason why I picked The Shining as, like, for me, the best horror movie of the 80s is it kind of starts off the 80s in horror movies, and I don't think it really got back to the psycho kind of era of horror movies. Like the last 20 years, I think it changed. It turned into, Friday the 13th and Michael Halloween and Michael Myers. You got a lot of the angry guy chasing a bunch of kids, and for me those movies were never as exciting. The Shining has endless amounts of Easter eggs, theories. You have a great character in Jack Torrance. You have the Overlook Hotel. You have a movie here that's just really complete. that you could rewatch over and over and always gain something new from it. So for me, when you talk about best any movie, and we're talking about best horror movie, I want all those things in the movie.
All right, thanks, Jeff. And next we have Davan. What did you pick, Davan?
I picked Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Sorry, Jeff, but I almost fell asleep during your debate, just like I almost fall asleep in The Shining. Because The Shining is actually pretty boring. It's not just slow by slow movie standards. They're it's just slow by every movie standards. It's slow. It's not scary. It does have some classicness to it, and I would say in spirit, The Shining was in fact the last 70s horror movie, even though it came out in 1980. The spirit of the 80s is not in that movie. It's a 70s movie. Now, mine is A Nightmare on Elm Street, not Part 1, but Part 3. Because it's the best of the Freddy movies. Freddy is the most memorable addition to horror from the 80s, and Dream Warriors is the best one. Because it's the one that, it's the scariest one. Of all the Freddy movies, it's the only one that made me afraid to go to sleep. And it gives you the ability, it shows you what it's like to fight back against such things. So like with all the subtext and stuff in that, it's giving you the way to fight back.
All right. all right.
Thanks, Michael Chan, unless he's talking about Murphy. Morning, Michael Chan. Lieutenant Michael Chan. Or you're Lieutenant, right, Michael Chan?
Well,
all right. We also
it's my turn.
have another aggressive challenger out, which is
Chris.
Chris, what did you pick?
Unlike Davan, I'm not going to waste my time jumping on the other films. I picked They Lived, the classic Carpenter film about media, global domination, world fucking ending, heat and destruction. They Live, the movie that stars the legend himself, Roddy Piper, as Nada, walking the streets and discovering that our world is completely run over by aliens through magic glasses, and he begins to see the horror and walks through the streets and gives the most iconic line in all of movie history: "I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and that is what I'm here to do today."
Yielding the rest of his time. I'll take it to bash They Live.
All right. Open floor. Let's go.
I love They Live. It's a great movie. I love most John Carpenter movies, but it's not a horror movie. It's a social commentary movie. It takes a bit from the horror, a couple of tropes from the horror genre, but it's not meant to be scary. It's not scary. It's an action movie with Roddy Piper and David. It's more of a sci-fi, really, with the sci-fi concepts of the glasses and things like that. It's a sci-fi movie, like a high concept sci-fi movie. Horror, when you think horror of the 1980s, you think Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger, the one that made children fall asleep, scared to fall asleep. And he's just a legit not cool dude. He's funny, but not cool.
I mean, frankly, both of your movies make me want to fall asleep half the time anyway. The Shining is arguably one of it's the first movie that was dubbed, "This absolutely ruined the book adaptation." Not even the author of the original book likes The Shining. So, I mean, that is nothing but, honestly, a Kubrick jerk fest, in my opinion. And with, like, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Sorry, I get them all mixed up. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, fucking Halloween. They're all the same thing. They're slasher films where Buckhead goes around and starts slicing at people through whatever, except, sure, Freddy Krueger can do it through your dreams or whatever. The horror of They Live, on the surface, They Live seems like an action film. On the surface, They Live seems like nothing more than sci-fi and fluff pieces. But the true fact is, what makes They Live a horror is that it's not a film, it's a documentary. It is real-world events happening right now, and there's nothing more horrifying than a documentary.
Yes, it's social commentary.
Happened 30 years ago, and is exactly a social commentary on what's happening now. Our world is
It's
burning.
not horror. It's
We're
not
being
scary.
run over by conspiracy theorist aliens that are trying to deplete our resources and cook our planet for their certain machinations and goals. I honestly am terrified.
No one was afraid of the dark.
That's a horror movie, in my opinion.
All right, Jeff, they're beating up on your movie here. I need to hear something from you.
Okay, The Shining is in the top probably 50 movies of all time, regardless of a horror movie. They're talking about two, no offense, B movies from the late 80s that were fun to watch, I guess. But like, I wouldn't even say Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is the most iconic 80s A Nightmare on Elm Street movie. You know,
it is. It's the consensus best.
What's the most horrifying scene in The Shining? Is it the elevator scene that's supposed to be an allegory for periods? Is that what it is? Is that the most horrifying scene? I don't think so.
Axe scene. Here's Johnny. Obviously,
is it the little girls in the hallway?
Well, it's not as gory as probably your two movies, but the thing is, the horror is not all about gore for me. It's about it's mental, it's psychological,
exactly.
Which is what A Nightmare on Elm Street
is the terrifying part about Freddy Krueger.
Chris,
you don't know what happens. People are afraid of sleeping and dreaming in the dark, and it taps into all of that. It's horror.
All right, Chris, tell me why your movie is a horror movie.
Why my movie is a horror movie? Strictly put, if you think of it this way, if you take the best 1980s horror movie and why it's They Live, it's because it stands alone on itself. There hasn't been 50 sequels of all these other ones. It is a film that makes you not be able to trust the people around you because you don't know if they are an alien in disguise, right? So that eventually plays on your fear of aliens. Then that plays on your fear of, well, your mainstream media is brainwashing you. So then you've got your fears of brainwashing. Therefore, there are more horror elements in that aspect. Then you've got the man that's trying to walk around.
No, it's not, Sam. You're very young. I understand that, but you're wrong. I love you.
Yeah, exactly, Sam. But yeah, you've got the horror element of the lone stranger man that's like a homeless guy trying to tell the people around him that there's fucking aliens everywhere, but none of them want to listen, or some of them are in on it.
It's like Twilight Zone, even sci-fi.
Exactly. It's a Twilight Zone. Only reason it's not super scary is because it was produced in the 80s. It's a little dated.
Okay.
Mine is produced in the 80s and it's terrifying. Plus, you spend a third of your life asleep. Try being afraid of a third of your life.
All right.
Nothing.
Did you hear, Davan? Did you hear the alarm?
No. Did it go off?
Yeah, it's because you were talking too fucking much. Anyway,
it's a debate.
It's a debate.
I'm just kidding you. This is a hard one because all three of you didn't bother to tell me why it was really a horror movie, other than Davan.
I told you what mine was. Yeah.
I informed you why it was a horror movie because it is a documentary, basically.
See, I talked a little bit about how...
He didn't ask you to explain why it was a documentary.
No, I didn't.
What is more terrifying than reality?
Dreaming.
Hosting the show.
Little girls, period.
Anyway, and having to keep Davan to a timer.
That's
anyway.
true.
All right. You know what? This is hard for me to give out, but I have to. I'm giving this one to Davan.
Love you, buddy.
And the reason why I'm doing it is because Jeff didn't bother to tell me anything about the horror aspect of the movie, and Chris went on about that, how this is a social documentary most of the movie. So it's like, okay, well, I guess we kind of
right past that. Society is a horrifying thing, and if you guys can't see that, then I'm afraid you're living in the fantasy world.
Anyway, the best thing about being host of this show is everybody's always mad at you, so I'm okay with that. So let's go to the next question.
I'm disappointed. I wanted that one so badly.
It's a great movie.
I wanted you to have that one, quite honestly, because I love that movie.
It's
anyway,
the best
TV.
of these three movies.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's got the best lines, the best action fight scene, and like all of
right.
Whatever.
I've made my decision. All right. Anyway, TV. What video game would make a great TV series? Let's start with Davan.
Mine is from the best game system of all time, and perhaps the best game from that system, and that would be Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is an amazing story. I mean, it has multiple endings because it was such a good story. it had to be told in many different ways. Plus, it's a time travel-y thing, so you get your period piece as part of it. You get the modern day, you get the future. It has so many interesting settings, and a lot of them that are really popular. I mean, the sword and sandals thing is super popular. The futuristic, I mean, it's very post-apocalyptic in that future. That's a very popular thing. And then you have the modern day with the excellent characters like Chrono and Marley and the frog and the smart scientist girl. I never know their names in that game because you can change them, and I always change them. But Luca, yeah. Awesome characters, and it's funny. It's also I would see it being in the style of like Avatar: The Last Airbender or something like that. Right. It has a lot of humor. Anyway.
All right, thank you. Chris, what was your pick?
Chrono Trigger? Really? Okay.
My awesome.
Pick for video game. My pick for video game that would make the best TV series is it's pretty straight and simple. It's Grand Theft Auto.
The Witcher.
Grand Theft Auto would. That's our rated TV series. That one doesn't count.
Which one?
No, Which one? No, just the series in general, in like entirety of its series. The thing about Grand Theft Auto is you can make it into an episodic show if you want. It could have the flavors of The Wire, Breaking Bad, and I had a third example, but I can't think of it right now. But with all the clarity of sort of Heat, you could have an excellent and very entertaining show with various degrees of characters, from hilarious satire to deep, dark criminal elements. And if you've played any Grand Theft Auto show, you know they generally don't give a fuck. So you could have that HBO hard rating. So the Grand Theft Auto has the most, I could say.
All right, Jeff. What was your pick?
I chose Overwatch. Okay, so the thing about Overwatch is it already has a huge fan base. People literally just watch other people play the game. But the thing about Overwatch is it has a really cool concept that I don't think a lot of people know about. It's set 60 years in the future. It's a fictionalized Earth, and it's 30 years after a resolution of what happened was this thing called the Omnic Crisis. And what happened was basically humans used artificial intelligence to make the world economic equality across the board, but then it kind of backfired when a series of lethal robots rose up and started attacking people. So they had to form this coalition, which was like the Overwatch group, and it was started by the Soldier and Gabriel Reyes, which I think is it's really interesting, I think, to do a show about it because you already have the characters set in place. You already have a plot. It would make a lot of sense. I think it would actually be a good video game movie or TV show.
All right. So one of the things that I kind of had an emphasis on this for me anyway, personally, was not that the game itself was good, but that it would make good content for TV. Now, one of the things that's nice about having good content for TV is, and let's be honest, the reason why we all make these shows is to get consumers engaged in it, to obviously sell advertising, stuff like that. So what I would like to hear from all three of you guys, and anybody can do it whenever they want, is tell me how yours has a long-term value to it that would, obviously advertisers would be more than happy to lay their money out for it.
Obviously Grand Theft Auto has the palette, the canvas for as much advertising as you want. Literally turn a corner, there's advertising all over the place in Grand Theft Auto from top to bottom. You could have any scene in any movie. You can have fake ads and you can have real ads. You can work in real products within the fake products of the show. There's so much versatility in Grand Theft Auto in the content. You can have Stephen Ogg come in and play the character of Trevor for an episode or a season if you want. You could have so much variety compared to Chrono Trigger and Overwatch.
If we're talking about versatility, for one, I would not even tune in for a minute to watch a Grand Theft Auto show. It just sounds like Fast and the Furious with cheap ads placed everywhere. It actually sounds horrible. It sounds like everything wrong with TV. Overwatch, I can't really argue against because I don't know what it is. But from what you say, it's just this future. And that's the whole interesting part of it. Well, mine has that as well as the past and the present, and they all affect
So
each
does
other.
Doctor Who.
The way you, I'm not trying to make an advertisement, but how you can appeal to advertisers with the great content that Chrono Trigger would be, is it.
All right, Jeff. Let's hear you.
These times affect each other, so you could it's resetting constantly.
I think
reset season 2, reset season 3.
If you liked the saga of Marvel and Captain America Civil War, Overwatch actually has a lot of the same themes as that. What ends up happening also is 6 years after the Overwatch things, there's this thing called the Petrus Act that ends up happening, and so corporations start taking over to fight terrorism instead of the Overwatch group, and it's illegal to form the Overwatch group. So you could start the show there, and then basically Winston, he's the giant gorilla astronaut guy.
So that's the only thing I know about Overwatch. That's the only thing I've ever heard about Overwatch is a cartoon gorilla. And when was the last time anyone's heard about Chrono Trigger? Honestly, when was the last Chrono Trigger game come out? 10 years
still
ago?
Gets
Grand Theft Auto, last game
mentioned and things made about it all the time,
ago, and it's still relevant today. It's still relevant today and one of the best-selling games. Its fan base is higher,
but it's a game.
farther than either of these two. Yes,
I'm not
yes,
sure about
and
that.
that is
Nothing about
the
it
basis
sounds
of this
interesting.
argument. What
mine
game
has
would make a good TV show? What game would make a good TV show? What
the
game
one
has
with
a
likable characters,
higher
lovable characters.
audience than
Yeah.
either
Had
of yours?
characters.
It would be Grand Theft Auto. It would be
No,
Grand Theft Auto.
character-
Nobody wants to watch a car.
All right.
In America, yes, but across
Timelines
the
to
world, I
develop,
would say Overwatch
plots
is
to
way bigger than
develop.
both these games.
humor.
No,
Mine's the only one that actually sounds like
hardly.
a show.
The daily user count of Overwatch does not exceed how many people and how much money has been put into Grand Theft Auto over the 10-year count that it's played.
These
If there
guys
was a
are
Grand
arguing
Theft Auto
video
show
game stuff.
announced
TV.
tomorrow. There would be
Chrono
more
Trigger.
hype about that than there ever
Chrono.
was for any TV
Okay.
video game adaptation show.
All right,
ever.
I'm done. I'm done.
Luca.
I'm done.
The level
All
of
right.
Boba.
I'm gonna make a ruling. What the hell was that? Anyway.
Producer Dave just fell asleep onto his keyboard.
Yeah, he just fucking slammed a bunch of them at once.
A cat jumped on it.
Yeah, the cats. Anyway, I've made my decision. I'm giving this one to Chris. And I didn't think I would going into this, quite honestly, because Chrono
Sounds
Trigger
horrible.
is one of my favorite games ever. And it does
It would
have a
make a great
very
show.
lucrative story.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it would,
bad
but
game, but I've never
More than
played it,
driving
and I
cars
can't-
and
but one of the most
beating
important
people up.
things with TV is how they can advertise it. And it's no matter what, the bottom line is still the people that are paying for the show. And
if the question
Chris
was how to
did a
make the
very
best
good job on that.
advertisement commercial garbage, then I would have picked something else. But that wasn't what the
Dude,
question
honestly,
was.
think about it.
That's what
Grand
a lot of
Theft
TV
Auto-
is,
a
Davin,
Grand
as
Theft
you
Auto
That's
know.
not
show
that what we were
have-
arguing though? How to make shitty TV or how to make good
Okay,
TV?
did you watch Breaking Bad? Did you ever watch The Wire?
No.
Have you watched these shows? Did you never watch those shows?
No, Davin
I
only
tried to
watches
watch Breaking
episodes
Bad
of
and I couldn't get
DS9.
3 episodes into it. It wasn't very
Grand
good.
Theft Auto to me as a show would just be kind of like Sons of Anarchy, but worse.
Yeah,
Yes,
know,
that was my third example. It would be like Sons of Anarchy, Heat, and Breaking Bad. No, sorry. Sons
right.
of Anarchy,
Well,
Breaking
he already
Bad,
made up his
and,
mind. It was the wrong choice.
I've already made up
I
my
know. Anyway,
mind.
I think
if
it
this
was
was
you
that
when
you
important,
watched
you could have
Chrono
threw it out
Trigger,
then.
Jody.
give it the
I
clarity of
would
the
watch
Heat
you
movie,
as
though.
Chrono
I would
Trigger.
totally watch
Think of the
Chrono
movie
Trigger.
Heat.
I know you would.
Think
I
of the
I
movie
won
Heat.
that
It would be a
point.
great show.
But it's not about me all the time, Davin. I try to be fair.
Yes, it's about the advertising.
And all of his points
apparently.
added up more. That's all.
You goddamn right.
Yeah, goddamn right. Exactly. Anyway, I like that one, Dave. We need to clip that
Orders in full effect.
in full
So
effect.
is
man.
the next question in like as according to the advertisers as well? Because this next one could be interpreted that way as well.
So number one, I gave you the first fucking point of this game. So why are you being such a bitch about everything?
I think he's
Because
arguing.
I feel like you changed the terms of that question.
I didn't
Yeah,
change
that's
the
annoying.
terms at all. It's
think
just
you
he
did.
made a great argument, and that's part of it. Anyway, let's keep going, guys.
Did you guys see the
As I
Coke
said,
sign in that window? That
If
was
you
awesome.
want to be host of this show, you got to be hated. That's just how it works, and I feed on your hate, Davin. Anyway,
know.
music. Who was the most underrated 90s band with 3 or more members? And we're
according
gonna
to
start
Coca-Cola.
with Chris. According to Coca-Cola,
So
maybe.
the most underrated 90s band with 3 members more, and it was exactly 3 members. And this is one I never really thought I would pick, but I've seen them 3 times when I had to do the Ontario 150 tour as a photographer. These guys performed 3 times on that tour, and I got to see them. That was the first time ever seeing them live, and they blew my fucking minds to a degree that I was like, wow, these guys are way better than I ever gave them credit for when I originally listened to them back in the 90s. And that is the Tea Party, the 3-piece Canadian band that has been around since May 1999, give or take, or actually probably a little before that. May 1999 was when the release Heaven Coming Down came in. That was their top #1 track of their entire career, but they've had many, many killer jams. They can play a 12-string guitar. I've seen a lot of guitar solos, but only one of those guitar solos was done by a man only one of those guitar solos was done with a violin bow. And that was honestly something to behold. I've never really sort of seen anything like that before. It's just really good, man.
Thanks, Chris. All right, Jeff, what did you pick?
I went with a Canadian band too. I went with the Bare Naked Ladies. The reason why I went with the Bare Naked Ladies was because I don't really feel like they get the due for how good of songwriters they actually really were, especially for the 10 years in the 90s. I think they pumped out some awesome songs that I don't think a lot of other bands in the 90s, because I researched for this question, that put out as many good songs as they did, like 1 Week and If I Had $1 Million and Shoebox, and just it goes on and on, all the songs that they put out, Be My Okono, all these great Brian Wilson, all these great storytelling songs that I don't think we got a lot of that in the 90s. I think music was changing at the time, and for me, I like a lot of the older style songwriting, and I think they did that the best, and I don't think it gets appreciated enough, especially in the States. They're kind of known as the Big Bang Theory band now, and I don't think they should be.
Interesting points. I like it. All right, Davan, what'd you pick?
This is funny, because I actually agree with everything both of them said, except for the fact that I don't think either of their bands are underrated. I actually considered both my opponents' choices and didn't go with them because I didn't think they were underrated. Now, mine is G-Love and the Special Sauce. You guys probably haven't even heard of G-Love and the Special Sauce. Maybe you have, but they've been going strong since the 90s.
Dave, can we put up Chris's face for a second, please? All right, go back to Davan.
So here's why G-Love, well, for one, he mixes like sweet blues, like guitar, harmonica, with hip hop and with pop and stuff. It's just a unique sound, still going strong today. I've seen them live. Now, Tea Party, love them, seen them live. They're not underrated. I think they get the notoriety that they should. Everyone here has heard of the Tea Party. We can all name a lot of their songs. They weren't underrated. They were very successful. Bare Naked Ladies, even more so. I mean, they're still played almost too much on the radio and stuff like that to this day, and in things like the Big Bang Theory. They're everywhere. They get the notoriety, and I'm sure the money that they deserve as well for their kind of cool poppy storytelling tunes, which I like. Again, neither of those other bands are underrated.
That band sounds like a porno.
No, not at all.
G-Love and the Special Sauce?
Go listen to it, man.
Jamil says,
G-Love and the Special Sauce. You're telling me that isn't a porno?
Says Chris, sorry, I'm not a fan of the Tea Party. I fell asleep during their concert. So pretentious.
Oh,
there's that. But
you gotta at 2, Jamil. At 2.
Here's the thing. Like, I feel like if the Bare Naked Ladies came out a little bit earlier, like in the 80s, I think they would have had even more success. Like, I think the 90s, because there was such competing musical genres at that time, I think a lot of bands, especially with 3 or more members, kind of took a back seat to a lot of the other acts in the 90s. And that's why, for me, I think like the Tea Party or the Bare Naked Ladies are more underrated, because their music was underrated at that time. Really,
I mean,
I think the opposite of that is actually true.
Been as good, in my opinion.
I think a little fun, kind of poppy, partyish kind of band like Bare Naked Ladies wouldn't have gone as far in any decade but the 90s. I mean, they somehow, it's kind of like unserious music, you could say. For them, that's not entirely true. They've got some good tunes, but anyway. But they still, like, they just rose to prominence with, like, not kind of.
I mean, honestly, the pretentiousness and all this talk about the Tea Party they are, I feel like they are underrated band. Like a good portion of people seem to enjoy them, but like I don't think anybody really understands the depth of skill that these guys put into the performances.
They have a lot of skill.
Like they have incredible skill, and I think that's what is the most underrated part about the Tea Party. Nobody actually really recognizes or understands the skill that these three put into it. They've got songs like Heaven Coming Down, Temptation, The Messenger, Winter Solace, The Bazaar. Like these songs are pretty complicated. Involve a lot of re-listenable,
though. They're not
very re-listenable. I think they have some.
I wouldn't want to listen to Heaven's Coming Down right now. I don't know about you, but G-Love and the Special Sauce have a very unique sound. And
Temptation is a great track. I would absolutely listen to Temptation right now. You can't tell me
the thing about
Temptation on right now and listen to
G-Love and the Special Sauce is they have such an underground following, which I think defines being underrated. Their following is underground. That G-Love and Special Sauce,
they have a second album
at Starstock, which was the biggest
G-Love and the Special
concert
Sauce
in Canadian history with the Rolling Stones and AC/DC and stuff. And G-Love and Special Sauce was there
on the chest.
Because they
or on the chin. Sorry, are these? I'm just.
No, I'm wrong. That's not where I saw G-Love. I saw G-Love in Montreal.
I just have to say with this, it was really hard to research bands from the 90s that were like not well known that I liked. There were like almost none of them. You know,
I mean, during the 90s, half the music I listened to was on the radio. And thinking about the bands that had a lot of radio play, I would say I've heard more Bare Naked Ladies, and I've heard like Our Lady Peace and all that stuff like that,
Party.
More so than I heard the Tea Party on.
I don't know. Heavy Coming Down's on there a lot.
The reason why I picked the 90s was because the 90s was a transition between CD and MP3. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I wanted to pick the 90s was because I wanted it to be hard for you guys. Okay, so
it was hard.
It's well, and that's kind of the reason why I went that route. Go ahead.
I would kind of say what Dave Mader said there is how he commented on the other two bands, and he says G-Love is not on my radar. And I think again that plays to the question here: underrated. They're so good. If you guys go listen to like the best of G-Love, you're gonna love it.
But you put BNL underrated
because it's just an underground thing. Like, you know, they're just three of them as well.
I've never heard of them, so you know again, like that doesn't. I will.
So that would make them completely not rated, let alone underrated. If nobody's
because again, they have this huge underground following. Like they are huge. Like
in Philly,
sells albums in Philly and everywhere. I saw Montreal, and people was one of the biggest shows there.
So Sam says, I do not have an answer for this question. Only if the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC is an acceptable answer. I would say neither one of them are. They're both very rated.
And this is the thing of, like in the 90s, there was a lot of...
You didn't grow up with them, Sam, I don't think. So that might be part of it.
And, that was what was on Much Music Every Day was that, that kind of stuff. It was the Britney Spears. It was all Jennifer Lopez. It was all that kind of one artist... ballad singer.
But I mean, the thing about like those artists is they're like globally recognized. The Tea Party is more or less rated in Canada, as Canada is like one of Canada's top bands. So they
they're big in Europe,
rated or top because more or less they're bigger in Australia than they are in Europe. They're not as big.
Jeff Martin lives in Ireland.
I did look up some of your bands just to see if I knew a little bit more. I do know all three of these bands. Okay, so I will say that I wouldn't go that far, but anyway, the main thing is, and biases aside, the Tea Party is very, very well known in pretty much any English speaking country, with the exception of the U.S. They didn't do very well in the U.S. However, they did decent. Okay, Bare Naked Ladies, they're known in the U.S., but they're known in the U.S. for a completely different reason, which is essentially the Big Bang Theory, that song. G-Love and the Special Sauce, pretty much not on anybody. It's not on pretty much anybody's radar. Now, to me, I had to decide, well, does that make it overrated or underrated or not rated? G-Love and the Special Sauce is more of a not rated kind of thing. I don't consider them underrated. So at this point, based on that knowledge and based on your guys' discussion,
what does not rated mean?
Well, basically, the fact that they haven't done well enough to even attempt it.
Put their album sales up against the Tea Parties.
Yes, they're very close, but they're not anywhere near the tea parties. I guess is a good way to say it. Anyway, I've made my decision, so gentlemen. I'm going to give this one, and I honestly didn't think I would. Out of the three that you guys picked, I'm giving this one to Jeff.
What?
And I didn't think I was going to give it to Jeff, but I'm going to give it to Jeff.
I kind of wanted to give it to Jeff. I can see it
through too. I can see it.
Yeah. I wanted to give it to Jeff, but I'll tell you right now, when I saw the answers come in, that was definitely not the one I thought was going to win.
I had such a hard time fucking coming up with an answer for this, and I went with the Tea Party because I was like, oh, they can actually surprise me. Maybe that'll roll.
I almost remember the tragically hit.
Fuck.
Originally, I was going to make this the 2000s, but then I realized that the 2000 and with media and with streaming services and stuff like that, it's a lot easier. So I wanted to kind of move it back a bit. So that's the reason why I went 90s, because I wanted to see if you guys would have a harder time with it. And I think you guys did. So
the only other band
mission accomplished.
I was going to go with was Hootie and the Blowfish, who I saw both.
That would have been a good pick.
Bare Naked Ladies and
It is a good pick, because I like Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah.
And even Darius Rucker's solo stuff was really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but obviously you couldn't use that. But anyway. Let's keep going, guys. You're all doing well. Sports. If you could add something to the dreadful sport that is baseball, I know that's not in there, but I've just added it to make it better. What would it be?
I get to go first.
Jeff gets to go first.
Okay, I have a great answer for this one. You're gonna love it. I would introduce sexy female umpires for all four umpires. You know, if you're gonna add something to baseball, because all these things, and I looked up and I did extensive research on this. It's always about removing things and, and speeding things up. And, the game's boring. Okay. Like you go there, you eat some Cracker Jack, but imagine instead of an old man calling balls and strikes, it's a sexy female, like in a bikini or something. I would be there for that.
I think would the other half of the audience be there for that?
Still his minute.
Everybody's gonna
still his minute, Chris.
It's still his minute.
Still his. Yeah.
Look, the majority of people that go to baseball games, 80% are men. I just think, I think it would be exciting. I think people would like it. I think Jody would enjoy the game more because Jody already doesn't. Anything you guys pitch to him about making baseball better, Jody's not going to buy. But this will work.
All right. He obviously knows my hatred for baseball. Davan, let's hear from
Jody,
you next.
You were right. Baseball is super boring. Jeff, you are wrong, and I'm offended on behalf of all women and gay dudes everywhere. Like,
yeah,
no one cares. Like, I think we're better than that as a culture now to objectify like that. Like, holy crap! Like, we're like this close to getting rid of ring girls and like boxing and stuff because that's just objectifying. Anyway, no, Jeff, no. My answer is the only right one. So I was going to I basically consider yours a joke answer. I was going to go with a joke answer, which I was going to just say, make it baseball bat lefts instead of baseball bats. But that would just end the sport, which Jody, as much as baseball sucks, there are a lot of people who like it. Let's give them something. Time clocks to make the game go faster. No sitting around, scratching, fake swinging your bat and everything. You just got to go. It'll knock like, instead of the 3-4 hour games, it would be over in an hour. And for a sport that's so boring, that's really what it needs. It needs to be over quicker and just be faster to be more exciting. Like, you don't need to in no other sport do you get to, in basketball, you don't get to dribble down the court, stop.
That sounds like baseball.
For 45 minutes and then take your shot. No, it's a sport. Compete, people. Speed it up. Shot clocks for everything. Like,
alrighty. All right, Chris, you got kind of a bored look on your face there.
This was my face and my entire demeanor when I read this question. I was like, oh, fucking baseball. Are you kidding me, bud? Fucking baseball. First of all, Jeff, your answer is completely misogynistic and needs to be thrown out the fucking window. Right out the window frame, bud.
Agreed. 2 against 1.
That is super dated. I'm afraid that's super dated. Anyway.
Sam says bikini babes are more for combat sports.
Agreed.
Yeah, even almost too misogynistic for that.
To get on my point, the best thing to come out of baseball is the show Brockmire. And in the words of Brockmire, when I read this question, it felt like God had a sniper scope pointed straight at my head. The only answer I could conceivably come up with to try and make baseball even remotely entertaining, and the first 2 words that came to my brain were pinball pitching. And you're like, what the fuck is that? And I was like, what the fuck is that? But you know what that is? That is the moment the pitcher has pitched the ball and the dumbass with the stick hits that ball and it goes flying and they go run into their little sack on the dirt over there. The next baseball player with the bat stick, he comes out and he gets it in the pitcher ball. He just takes it from a bucket of balls and he just throws a fucking another one and they hit it. And then you got two guys running out. Now you got two balls out in the field. So now you've got all these fucking 30 people on the field actually doing active things as opposed to, one at a time. You've got like 3 balls on the field. It's higherly increased. It's more entertaining. There's more injuries. So it'll just be more fun.
Look, I'm the only one that took this question seriously. You're creating a brand new sport, Murphy, and it would just be chaos and even more boring to watch.
How are you not creating a more new sport by adding time? That's what we're doing. We're trying to make
everything's exactly the same, except for like the pitcher doesn't get to scratch himself before throwing a pitch. The batter
That's exactly the same. There's more balls in the thing. There's more time. There's more balls. There's no difference.
It's just chaos. It's not. It's just
exactly.
Running
it's just
after
chaos.
balls.
That's exactly what we're going for. Chaos.
Yeah,
and
but
the
it's
most
not a
boring
sport
in
anymore.
all of history. We're throwing more balls. What's the
Jeff?
difference?
I want to hear from you because you're clearly
Do we really need to? I
don't think we should hear from Jeff anymore.
He really put his foot in his mouth.
My answer might be
to hear from Jeff.
My answer might be misogynistic, but it is the most clear ad to the baseball sport to actually make it more entertaining.
Jeff, I'm going to throw you a bone.
For you.
I'm going to throw you a bone. This is how you massage your argument here. Scantily clad, good-looking people. We'll add women and men or non-binary folks in the combination.
Sure, I'm not.
I suspect that would actually alienate most of baseball's audience. To be quite honest,
look, I know who goes to baseball games. It's fat old men that eat hot dogs.
Yeah,
and
that's not true. I know who goes to baseball games too, and one of their avid fans is
he is somewhat right because the only time I ever go to a baseball game is to eat hot dogs, and I'm kind of fat, so that kind of makes sense.
Look. This
I mean, of course,
I know my
anybody can be right
audience
because
here
you're
is
making a
not you
generalized
guys.
statement.
You guys
Mine's
both
the only serious
thrown at
answer,
the idea
and
of
it would
baseball.
actually work. Mine could actually be
mine could work too. There's nothing that's saying mine couldn't work.
No, that's
There's
just
nothing
ridiculous.
that says having a bucket of balls and the pitcher throwing the ball. He doesn't have to just keep biffing them.
Pinball's boring too. You're just adding one boring thing to another.
Add to the sport of baseball.
It doesn't, Sam. See, Sam's a young man who's growing up in a generation that's better than that.
Imagine.
Sam makes a great point, and it does not add to the sport.
Imagine a player is stealing from first to second. He slides in there. He barely misses the tag. And
he slides in there. Is that what he does,
Then you get
Jeff?
a sexy female or male
here with your
umpire.
innuendo.
They have to be dressed sexy no matter what. And then you get the safe. People would go wild. That's just my opinion.
I'm offended.
Because they're doing this and they're flexing
Or
and
they're
maybe
going
squeezing an ass cheek. That makes baseball more. No, that doesn't add anything to it. That doesn't add no thing. The quality of adding more balls to the game is that they're not have to be repeatedly thrown like a machine gun. No. It's just once the batter hits the plate, you throw a ball. He hits that ball, he gets to go. If he doesn't hit the ball, he gets struck. You play the same matches. But the moment he gets it, he starts running. You get another batter up. You get another pitcher. Then you've got guys out there taking that field. You've got multiple umpires.
30 seconds,
they can watch that guy while you have the other one in the field throwing the ball and going for another crack. You can have this sort of cyclical pinball motion.
I told her about the
let people have their baseball, but make it faster.
Exactly. You would make it faster by adding more balls.
It's still baseball. It's half as long, and it's actually more exciting because it happens faster. You don't have to add a million balls to make it dumb. Like
she said,
and you definitely don't have to be a misogynist. You should recuse yourself as a father, Jeff. Recuse yourself in this debate.
So Rob says, "Isn't it simple answer?"
Honestly, Rob, I was half second. I was like, you know what? I want to change my answer to steroids. I was going to change my answer to steroids.
They're doing that anyway. That doesn't change anything.
I know.
All right,
it
guys.
Really doesn't change anything.
I've made my decision. Jeff, as much as I like your idea, it's still going to make me sit there for 4.5 hours.
You just don't want to get ridiculed, but that's okay.
That too.
You don't have the courage, Jody, to give him the win.
Yeah, Jody's making his decision because of cancel culture. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. Let's just go with that. No, honestly, though, it sounds. I would love to see that. However, it still doesn't get rid of the initial problem, which is 4.5 hours for a fucking game. So, I don't really like
Murphy's would be even longer.
Murphy's
like it would be like
Murphy's
an 8 hour.
I like Murphy's idea. However, I think the execution is just not going to work.
Davan barely explained his idea, in my opinion. He barely talked about it. He just said
same thing, but faster.
Just add more time. He
didn't say add more time. If you actually listen to what he said that they would have a shot clock kind of thing. So basically, they only have X amount of time to do something instead of letting them have infinite time scratching their balls.
That's
all right. Yeah. So I'm going to give this one to Davan.
Yeah.
But I was very intrigued.
Question came up. I was like, "Fuck! I got no answer for this."
I was very intrigued by Chris's answer, though.
Pinball, the initial pinball picture.
So he sent me that, and I'm like, I have no idea what that means. And then I'm like, should I look it up? And I'm like, no, I want him to explain it, so I'm not going to look it up.
So that was completely on the fly. I had no idea what it meant.
It was crazy.
Sure,
and I like Jeff's answer, but it still didn't get rid of the underlying issue of baseball.
It would just add something to improve it.
Recuse yourself, sir.
You just said sounds so bad.
Bad? I don't know.
No idea. Anyway, let's keep going. All right. Okay. So currently our score is Jeff with 1, Davan with 2, Chris with 1. So it's still anybody's game, guys. Let's step it up a notch here. History. What was the most missed website or service that no longer operates on the internet? And I wanted to give you something that wasn't a history book type thing. So
yeah, that's why
this is the reason why I went with this question. So actually, all three of your answers I thought were pretty interesting. So let's hear them. Anyway, Davan, since you suck so bad, you can be first.
Yeah, I look forward to this one because I love history. I consider anything internet age actually still ahead of me and in the future, even if it was in like 1998. So anyway,
there's probably a reason for that, but anyway.
Well, so what I said, because I actually had to Google like what are some websites and stuff that aren't around anymore, because I didn't even know. I wouldn't know. So the Pirate Bay I chose because that's actually one I used before. And in the age of endless streaming services, and there's probably about to be about 45 more of them. So to get the things you want.
I was originally...
Yes, is it illegal? Yes.
Okay. I was originally going to discredit his question, his answer, but technically the Pirates Bay in its original form is gone. So
is it still around?
It's all technically proxies now. So I kind of allowed it, but it is a hard one. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I lost this category. I'll concede the rest.
All right, let's keep going then.
I don't know anything about the internet.
Chris, your answer.
I feel I probably have this one in the bag with this answer. It's called the61.com. This wasn't probably a widely known website. It came out originally. What was the original time it launched? It launched back in 2010, 2016. Shit. Anyway, basically the 61.com is a music streaming website. It's like your Spotify's, your SoundClouds. It was basically that before that. Around the same time, honestly, SoundCloud came out at the same time. But the way
yours sounds illegal too.
No, it wasn't actually. It wasn't illegal because it was a publicly sourced site. Basically, if you were a band, doesn't matter how small you were, you could upload to this website. There was a big picture layout. There was shuffle, random. I found a lot of great bands on that site, like MGMT. I'm flaking on names right now, but there were great bands that I discovered on that website, and I had a lot of fun using it. It went forever, and I'm sad it's gone.
All right, Jeff.
Okay. I picked a web service that no longer exists. It's called Orkut. And it was designed by this guy named Orkut. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name because it's like 20 letters long. But anyway, he was from Turkey. And basically, it's basically Facebook. Okay. It's Facebook around the same time as Facebook, but it's less integrated with all the ads and all the different news and everything. It's really just a service that's designed to help meet new and old friends and maintain those existing relationships, which is all I want Facebook to be. But now Facebook is this giant conglomerate. And for me, I would much prefer to have this service than Facebook. And it's gone now. Google was running it for a while. They bought it from this guy, Orkut. It was the most used social media website in Brazil and in India, so it was very, very, very popular. But then it just kind of went by the wayside once Facebook kind of took over, and so I'm sad about that. And I think it would have been a great thing for me to have used.
All right,
Jody.
Yo.
Yar, ye matey.
All right. Well, if that's your only thing, you might have some competition here.
Pirate Bay you can still use.
I gotta search for booty.
I think Davin's out on this one. The Pirate Bay is still usable. You can
you can technically still go to the Pirate Bay and access that website. As for Orkut, I can't say I've heard of that. I mean, if it's Turkish Facebook, that's really cool. I don't know if it lasts forever. But like realistically, the 61.com was a versatile and usable site.
That would have been a good
great layout. There was amazing music.
So Sam's answer would have been MySpace, and
it
I'll tell you right now,
2008.
I'm surprised none of you got that one.
Yeah, I should have.
Well, see, I felt like MySpace would have been too obvious a pick. Like, it's the problem with MySpace is that, like, although it was the first social site and whatnot, it's just its whole layout and whatnot. Like, I don't miss that website at all.
Yeah, it sucked.
I don't miss going to that website.
Layout, yeah.
Right? There's a reason it died off. I miss going to the 61.com because it was like a full screen, like high digital pictures of the band or whatever artwork you wanted to put up. Whether you were a single individual or a band with thousands of people following, you could just upload to this website. Your music you could shift. It had original radio plays. You were able to jump and find like similar artists. It was really ahead of its time, and it was really sad that it never actually carried on like SoundCloud and Spotify and Bandcamp and all like the multiple versions that are, in my opinion, lesser quality than what the 61.com was and what it was going for. If you go to Internet Archive and like look at like the originals back in like 2009 or 2010, before they really did the design layout, you could if it can actually bring up what the things look like. Like, it was a beautifully designed website. It was easily accessed, and it was just, I discovered so much great music, and I wish it would come back, honestly, or something similar.
I win for keeping my argument short, matey. Yar.
I doubt it.
Concise ship is sunk. Concise.
Jeff,
why
is your pick better than Chris's?
Because Facebook, to me, has like this monopoly on basically the boomers. And I think if Orkut had been able to at least compete from like the Google side of things, I think it could have done well. It obviously did do very well in India and in Brazil. And for me, I kind of, like I said before, I just want Facebook or that type of a service just to be somewhere I can go reconnect with an old friend. That's exact. And if I want to make things more private. Yes.
Is that, or is it a place for you to like reconnect with like a Nigerian prince that just got a bunch of dollars?
Well, that too.
And really needs your help.
Well, that too. But I don't know. For me, like I just started reading about this. I never used it, so I don't miss it.
I don't think anybody else used it either. So I don't think honestly anybody's going to miss it.
Well, I think a lot of Indians
very highly rated in India.
Why would anyone miss the 61.com
quite a lot of
when they can go to
population.
62.com? I mean, it's been beaten.
Well, the reason why it was called the 61.com is because it was based off of the Highway 61 music sort of history that was based around that road back in America.
Route 61.
Stuff. So, yeah, Route 61 and all that stuff. So that's why it was called the 61.
All right. Allegedly, I've made my decision.
I accept your point, matey.
Grudgingly. No, you're definitely not getting it. Chris, I really like your pick. I was really surprised when it came in because I actually remember that site. I remember finding actually MGMT is actually one of the bands that I saw there too. So with that, even though I really thought this was going to go, I kind of like Jeff's answers better. And the reason why I like them was because of why something that doesn't exist now and why it should still exist. And the reason why is because Jeff basically says Facebook has gone this route instead of this route. The thing that was nice about your service was, yes, you could discover artists, especially small artists, but Spotify's doing that now too. Okay. So
yeah, exactly. So monopolize what the Facebook is doing. Facebook is doing the exact same thing that Orkut's doing. Spotify and Facebook are the same hand on the same point.
Yeah, that's the problem though. Anyway, I'm giving this one to Jeff.
Yeah.
But it hurts me to do so, quite honestly.
Yeah.
because
I
did
feel like
love
I
that
made
website.
many good points as to why the
I feel you
Simpson
did
one is a
too,
far more
but
missed website than
he hit a
Barker.
couple points that I really liked. So
he basically was like, "Oh, it's Facebook took over, and that's why Orkut's not a thing anymore." And I'm like, "So did like multiple websites that are similar and copies." Okay,
Chris, do you
I
think
feel
I'm
like
an
I deserve
incompetent
that
host?
points. I feel like that one you might have stuck a foot up my ass on that one, Jody. Thanks.
You goddamn right.
Yeah, goddamn right, because I'm the host, bitch. Anyway, let's go. Anyway,
Look,
next question.
you shouldn't have won the Grand Theft Auto one, so it's just the reverse is correct.
I should have won They Live, and I should have won that one. The two ones I wanted to win the most, I did not, and I'm very disappointed right now. I really wanted that website.
Anyway, still anybody's game, guys.
Who the fuck's heard of Orkut?
Still anybody's game.
I haven't heard of 61.com either, though.
It was a cool site. Wild card. What was the most overrated theatrical movie made in the last 20 years? And this must have been released in theaters. So no Netflix originals or any of that crap. Anyway, we're starting with, I guess this would be Chris, would be the first person.
I thought I was first. No, wait, no, I guess. Okay, anyway, my choice was James Cameron's Avatar. That overblown CGI friggin' Pocahontas wannabe snuff film. I mean, it's literally just one of the most boring.
I've never heard it described as a
Pocahontas snuff film.
Like, I honestly it's one of those boring films I've ever watched. I can't honestly think of a lot of scenes from Avatar other than like weird furry tentacle porn that James Cameron really wanted to show the world, and like a guy kicking a door and like holding his breath while he steps into a vacuumous airspace or some shit. Like, it's one of the most just like asinine projects ever. And now we've waited 15 years for a sequel that's going to come out. That's a Book of Water. So we're going to get to watch a whole bunch of water CGI, guys. Oh man, I can't wait for light fractors to go on a whale. That's going to be one exciting movie. Whoop-de-friggin' do.
All right, that was amazing. All right, anyway, let's keep going. Jeff.
I picked Crash from 2004. I was going to pick Avatar, but it got picked before me. I agree with everything you said. Okay, here's the thing. Crash.
Just of note, everybody picked Avatar.
Yeah, everybody picked Avatar.
I win.
No, and I'll tell you why you
Not
don't.
yet.
It's my turn.
So here's the thing. Okay, so we're talking about overrated, right? And we're talking about theatrical movies. So for me, if this movie won the Best Picture Oscar and had no business winning that Oscar, that to me is Crash. Like it is the most quintessential example of that. It's literally a series of events that are chained together that have really absolutely no meaning to each other whatsoever, to kind of show, how racism and prejudice is in our society, especially through cops, and not only that, through relationships and marriages. And that's kind of what the movie's about, but it really has no plot. What happens in that movie? Who's the main character? It's not a Best Picture movie. So for me, it's the most outrageous, overrated movie that's been made in the last 20 years.
Paul Haggis, most overrated director ever.
All right. Two very good picks, I think. Davan, what do you got for us?
It's not Crash, because Crash is actually a good movie. It doesn't need a main character. It's not supposed to have one. A lot of good movies don't, like Coffee and Cigarettes, for example. Avatar is wrong because it is the obvious choice, and here's why it's wrong. What did I pick? I don't even know. Oh, I picked The Hangover. Oh, The Hangover sucks. Nothing in there is funny. Yeah, they keep making sequels of those. It's not funny. Like, I mean, if I was 8, maybe I would laugh at some of those things, but I'm not 8. And I don't think 8-year-olds are even allowed into The Hangover. So it's literally like made for people who can't.
You goddamn right.
No, The Hangover's terrible. Avatar at least has something. It hasn't. Hangover has nothing worthy of watching. It's just garbage. But Avatar at least has some like pretty CGI. Like, I like plants and stuff. I'm a gardener, and like some of that stuff it's kind of like watching that Alien World show on Netflix. It's fun to see kind of alien takes on biology and flora and fauna, and that part was interesting. There is no plot or anything, so it was garbage in that. But there's like none of our movies here have plots, so like that.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I mean, the whole argument here is overrated. I mean, sorry to jump in on you, Jody, but I feel like, you know, Avatar got the most fanfare. It was the world's #1 grossing film up until Top Gun Maverick came in and bombed the shit out of it with its like gajillion dollar winning.
But why was that, Murphy? Why was that?
Why was
that? People didn't go to that movie, or even people who like it pretend it had a good plot. People were going to that movie for relaxation. People were going like 4 and 8 times just to like, because they said it made them feel calmer away from their stressful day. So that actually offers
I don't
something.
believe that's why people went to that movie.
There was a ton of articles about that. Look it up. There was a ton of articles.
No, dude, no.
Absolutely,
people didn't
look
go
it
to
up.
that movie for the relaxation. Davin, people
They
didn't
did.
go to that
They
movie.
absolutely did.
Davin,
Look it up,
people
Jody.
didn't go to that movie for the relaxation. People went to that movie because it was the big 3D fucking eyeball fest that everybody was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna live in the movie."
And it was
that's why people went to the movie. That was the reason. It wasn't because it was relaxing.
Yes,
it was
you're making my point.
I want to see the spectacle.
It wasn't an overrated movie because nobody said
Davin,
it was good.
you said people went to it because it was relaxing. I'm saying people went to it. Will you give me a minute? People went to it because they wanted to see the 3D spectacle. They wanted to see the fireworks. They wanted to see everything that everyone was talking about and overrating and overhyping, right?
No, those things were all there.
Avatar. The reason why people kept going back to Avatar is because, I don't know, maybe they thought it was super cool, and maybe some of those people did find it relaxing. But that's a very small group than the initial that went and really saw it. So because
what's worth more to a movie? Someone going once or someone going 8 times? Like,
well, I mean, the reason why because it was overhyped, all these people kept going back to the movie because they wanted to see all these special effects, and a lot of people wanted to analyze it. And they thought it was but it was such a boring movie. That's what makes it overrated.
All those things you're saying are in the movie. It wasn't overrated.
Yes, and that's
the CGI. All of that was there.
That's what makes it overrated
because people was overrated. Everything people said it was.
I see what Davin's saying.
The only person who said it was good story was James Cameron. Nobody believed him.
Right. If we're just talking about story, Avatar is one of the most overrated things ever. But for what Davin's saying, like, it is pretty movie. It's pretty to watch.
Yeah, it is what people said it was.
You know, but for me, I walked out of 3 movies in the last 20 years where I said that was a piece of shit, overrated, right? And one was Avatar, one was the newest Force Awakens, that movie, and then
we should have picked that one.
Yeah, that was my gonna pick, but then Crash also stuck out to me because it's just one of these movies that has no business being a top-rated movie. It just doesn't belong.
Okay, I'm just gonna.
But it's a way better movie than The Hangover. It is at least trying to say.
I want to fight you. I want to fight you a little bit on The Hangover because here's the thing with The Hangover. No, it's funny. It's just not for you. You know, comedy is subjective. You know, I don't feel like
funny.
Agreed. Comedy is subjective. There's many parts of there's some pretty decent funny parts in that movie that it's been a while that I can't exactly.
But people were acting like it was like the greatest comedy ever.
It wasn't funny watching Zach Galifianakis pee in Mike Tyson's pool and then look up at the camera. And
that's a stunt. That's not comedy. Like,
and I mean,
peeing on something isn't comedy.
Realistic. Yeah, but these are really going in.
It's like watching
Crash is. Okay,
agreedly,
we can all say we all picked Avatar to be the first initial thought of overrated film. So obviously, like, it is the most obvious and #1 because it reigned supreme.
It was the most obvious.
The box office charts for so long because it reigned. That's what makes it overrated. With Crash, that had a small, brief glimmer of TIFF film and film festival hype in the early mid 2000s, and honestly, I thought, you know what? The better Crash film was the Cronenberg one, in my opinion. Yeah. And with The Hangover,
crashing cars
I mean, there's not much to say about The Hangover. It had a brief period of time when it came out too, and it spawned a few sequels in rapid succession. Avatar. Avatar is overhyped and overrated because it's held on to the world's top-grossing title for so long, and it's held this hype of when's the next Avatar sequel going to come out, and almost 15 years later, we're finally going to get one. that, in my opinion, means overrated and overhyped over your other two films. It is,
but to me, it doesn't.
Arguably the kingpin of overrated films because it's so empty and so lacking in substance, and it's nothing more than eye candy for the general populace. And that's why the general populace went to it, was for the initial eye candy. That's why it got so much money. Was for the initial
eye candy. It's not overrated.
Yes, it's
it makes too much money. No, it's overspent on maybe, but not overrated. Everyone knows what it is. What the next one's gonna be.
What does your term of overrated mean? That is overrated. It's too many.
Overrated is somebody saying something about a film that is like demonstrably untrue, like in the positive sense. No one does that about Avatar. People say it's pretty, and it was. No one says it's a great story. No one's overrating.
That's not true. There's many people that talk about Avatar like it's one of the greatest CG accomplishments in history.
Yes, CG. Exactly. It is that. It is the things people say.
Yes, that makes it overrated. That means people are talking about.
Right,
that's the only thing.
That's not what overrated means.
Let me interject here. Okay, let's make this even easier. Okay, what movie is the most important out of these three movies?
The one that tries to be the most important is my movie, but it's not. You know,
most important. I mean, I don't know if that.
What important? What value?
I mean, it's not The Hangover. The Hangover offers
most important to movie making, movie story, the general knowledge stuff.
I mean, if you want to talk about the movie, then again,
most important is Jeff,
because again. No, I would argue that the most important is again Avatar because it was leaps and bounds in CGI. As equally as an empty and overrated film as it was, technically it's a fucking astounding film. I'm not going to deny that point. But like we're talking about
again, not overrated. It's an astounding film right from the mouth of babes.
No. Technically it can be an astounding film, but it doesn't make it an astounding film.
I'm going to start muting mics here. All right. We're done. All right. Number one, Davan.
Mm-hmm.
No.
What?
The Hangover's good.
Just because you don't like something doesn't make it overrated. All right. And there's a lot of people that really enjoy Hangover. Now, if you said Hangover,
a lot of people enjoy all these movies.
Hangover 3 is the best one.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. The first one's the best one.
No.
Just like almost every trilogy. But anyway, as for Crash, that was the one I thought was going to win this. But I am going to give it to Avatar just based on the points that Chris has made. But Crash, in my opinion, out of these three, Crash is definitely the one that is the most overrated. But I
honestly never seen Crash. The only Crash I've seen was Cronenberg's Crash.
Go watch it.
It is just not as good as anybody has made it out to be. No, it is just
didn't deserve any of the awards.
Stupid. Yeah. And as for, I don't even know where you get Hangover as being an overrated movie, but anyway. But
that's nothing more than a dumb laugh fest.
Now the problem that I have now is that I have a tiebreaker now because I have all three of you with 2 points each, which means I can only send two of you to the speed round. Mm-hmm. So that's going to make things hard. So, Dave, do you have a question that we could use for this? Because I gave you one, but unfortunately, it's only for two.
Oh,
people.
you did. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, but it's only for. Oh, actually, no, we could use that one now. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. Bring it up.
Okay, and so that's the question. And so basically,
first person to yell out their answer gets to debate it, and they also get to choose that one. Okay, so this is an open-ended question, guys. You can pick any answer you want that comes to your head. But it will be judged. Tiebreaker, pick only one video game you can play for the rest of your life.
Mario Kart.
Grand Theft Auto.
All right.
I would Diablo 2.
All right. Davan, tell me why that is the best pick.
I mean, pick the system of your choice, not the original Mario Kart. It's impossible. But the funnest game for me, video games. I mean, it's different. I don't play video games by myself. I like playing video games with other people. I find that the most fun. Mm-hmm. It's a game. I like playing games with other people. And to me, the funnest game ever was probably to play with other people was probably the N64 version of Mario Kart. It's just endless amount of fun. Like it never got less fun. That's the crazy thing about that. Like we played for hours and hours exactly of Mario Kart, and it just never got less fun. It just got more competitive, which is even more fun. So if I had to pick one, it's the one that doesn't seem to ever get less fun. Where I can't imagine whatever my opponents pick here, it'll be that way. I suspect their games get boring after about 50 hours, but I don't know.
All right, Chris was the next one in. Go ahead, Chris.
I mean, if you want to talk about boring and going around in circles and circles on a rainbow track, I would classify Mario Kart as boring. I would not classify Grand Theft Auto as boring. Grand Theft Auto is probably the one game out of these picks that has more variety and things to do within it than either of them. With Mario Kart, you go in circles. With the other pick, which I kind of forget which it was, I can't argue to that to the most part, but with Grand Theft Auto, you can drive, you can fly, you can swim. Those are just three of the basic things that you can do. You can have multiple vehicles of many forms, from any type of car to any type of plane to any type of submersible vehicle. Those are things. There are multiple mission forms. You can go through attacking missions or multiple gameplays. There's like death matches between like heists, there's races, it's literally a sandbox game. There's a billion things you can do. You can spend hours in it. That's why people spend 10 years on it.
All right, Jeff, let's hear yours.
Okay, so for me, like Diablo 2 is a game I go back to over and over. I could fire it up right now and have fun for like 5 hours playing it, no problem. Because the way the game is constructed, there's 5 acts, and then there's 3 difficulties, and there's like 8 characters or something. So you can constantly just go through all these different characters, play the game on all these different difficulties. There's all sorts of different raids you can do to get new gear. You can do new sets. If you're going to play a game for the rest of your life, you want options. You don't want to play the same 5 Mario Kart tracks. You don't want to just beat a guy up and take his car and just for over and over and over for the rest of your life. I just think for me, I would rather just have more options. And Diablo 2, it's still going today. People still play it. You can still play it online with other people. For me, that's what
I have to pick 2 people to go to the speed round. I'm going to automatically send Chris to the speed round based on what he's already said. Because of the variety and whatnot of the game that he's picked makes sense. Okay, so Chris can automatically go. So it's in between you two now, Jeff and Davan. Why is Diablo 2, Jeff, a better pick than Mario Kart to have as the game that you play for the rest of your life?
Because for me, Mario Kart is a very repetitive. Between levels, it's almost always the same, no matter what. It's the same game. Ultimately whereas Diablo 2 has different difficulties, different sets, different things you can do to really create a different character within this world. Yes, the world's fixed, but it also has different difficulties. You can play with other players, you can raid, there's all sorts of different things you can do.
All right, Davan, same question.
I think Jeff skewered his own argument. For one, a storyline game can't hold up as well as a repetitive game. But it's not repetitive. What's repetitive is a game like Diablo where you have the sprites that are designed to do a specific thing. It's going to be basically that same thing every time you play that game. The variety is not going to change. Where the variety is different in Mario Kart is because it's competitive. You're playing with other people. I've put that Mario Kart game into a system more than any other game I could think of, and it'll remain that way for the rest of my life. And again, it doesn't get less fun because it is different every time because you're playing against different people. You're playing at a different time. People's skills evolve. It's not sprites that are doing the same thing over again. What's exciting about the Diablo story the second time you've heard it? Like for a game that you just have to play over and over again, I don't think there's ever been a game that is universally played like that, like Mario Kart, where people just play it again with their friends and it just still gets played. And it's just new versions of it, old versions of it. People put the old ones in because it's just so fun. And the question is play something over and over again for the rest of your life. I don't imagine you can't play Diablo the 10th time.
Okay.
People do.
Based on your two guys' arguments here, I think I've made my decision. Davan, you brought up some interesting points with your Mario Kart things about how you could play other people, and obviously that changes the dynamic. I would agree to that, except there is the fact in Mario Kart that you do have the same rules all the time, especially if you're playing the 64 version. So the only thing that changes is what happens, the outcome of the race. Jeff mentioned that he could play different classes, and then obviously that changes how the game plays. So there's some variety there. Was that supposed to be my timer to shut up or something? Or
that was my phone.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was Dave trying to tell me to move on. This is a hard one, guys, because both of you have very good picks. But if I had to go based on just how you two argued, I'm going to give Jeff this one. And the reason why I'm going to give Jeff this one, and I know you're going to cry, David, about how I'm some biased asshole to you. The thing that I liked about the way Jeff argued it was he told me that he could play it differently every time.
I said that.
You kind of said that, but you only said it based on who you're playing with, right? And it is a set thing, and as to quote Chris, I guess is probably the easiest way to quote it. Okay,
that's somehow more fun than running through a dungeon. That's niche.
For some people, it is absolutely, but when it comes to the argument, I think I'm going to go with Jeff on this one. I'm sorry.
I call bias.
I'm sure you will.
Peace out.
All right. So the nice thing I have now is I have the power to remove Davan. So here we go.
Yep.
Oh, there he goes. Okay, it hurt me a little bit. I did it. All right, time for the speed round. And Davan, please stay. Oh, did Devin actually leave?
I think he did, but he'll be back.
What an ass. All right. Anyway, so I was gonna have him for to help judge. Anyway, that's fine. Speed round, gentlemen. How the speed round works is I'm going to give you two answers to the question that I'm asking. The first person to yell out one of those two answers gets to argue it. The second person automatically gets the other answer, and they have to argue that. Now, I've tried to make them as equal in my mind as possible, so that therefore there's no bias one way or the other. So then that way you have to just strictly convince me. Okay. So anyway, speed round. Ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
Speed round. Movies. Best
RoboCop.
80s action movie, RoboCop or The Terminator? So obviously,
RoboCop.
Chris gets to go first with RoboCop. Tell me why.
I mean,
why is it better than The Terminator?
Well,
and I love both these movies equally. So
okay. All right. Well, I mean, for one, why is RoboCop better than the Terminator? Simply because the scene where RoboCop becomes RoboCop is one of the most horrific and shocking scenes ever. Watching Red Foreman shotgun a man to death, or near death, in this opinion, is very, like, it's shocking. It blows your brains, and it blew the many parts of Alex Murphy. For him to become RoboCop and
your rebuttal
dicks off, and
all right. This is speed round. You got to keep it quick. All right, Jeff.
With the Terminator is classic. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger at his highest powers. He's, the iconic bad boy. If you're talking about an action movie, I mean, it's also a sci-fi movie, which both these movies are. They're both great, yeah. But for me, Terminator really brings the action scene to scene to scene, where RoboCop is kind of slow in parts. There's moments where I'm like, okay, can we move it along a little bit here? And I don't really love everything about RoboCop. I do appreciate it, but for me, Terminator, I could put on and really...
Your rebuttal.
All right.
The most iconic scene in Terminator is "I'll be back" at best. I mean, maybe driving down a highway with a truck. There's not a lot in Terminator that I can think of. In RoboCop, there's a scene where he shoots through a woman's dress and nails the guy in a dick. I can remember that scene. There's the scene with the shotgun. I spoke about that earlier. There's a scene with a giant 2 bipedal robot that he has to battle. That is like one of the most fun scenes ever. There's so many like iconic scenes within RoboCop that it stands out as a more entertaining movie than Terminator.
Your rebuttal.
All right, Jeff, final thoughts.
For me, I just think Terminator has a better grounded story and plot. You have the whole Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor stuff. You have the Terminator coming back. The action scenes are incredible. He's mowing down cops left and right. I just think the lore of the original Terminator movie 2 really carries out like throughout, the second movie, the third movie. You really can go back to that movie and go, oh, that's where that all starts. And, so that's why I like the Terminator quite a bit.
Okay. Speed round has to be quick. So is my answer. Chris gets the round.
Oof. I thought I was bubbling there.
Well, you did it for the fact that you're telling me all the different scenes as well as the gore. And that is an action movie as well. Jeff, I felt that you could have gave me a little bit more of why it was an action movie. All right. So that's the reason why. But I love them both. Next one, TV. Best 90s coming of age TV show, Party or 5 or Dawson's Creek?
I'll just go with Dawson's Creek.
Jeff got Dawson's first. Go ahead, Jeff.
I didn't watch the other show. So Dawson's Creek, you got Vanderbeek, you got Katie Holmes, you got Joshua Jackson, you got a show. I don't even, man. It's a sitcom. It's a romantic sitcom. You get what you get. You get people breaking up with each other. You get high school drama. I don't know what to say for these. I don't like either of these shows. I don't like these types of shows.
That's why I did this question.
Yeah.
I figured no matter who got into the final,
this Vanderbeek puff piece
really
known as Dawson's Creek is not something I personally would watch. You know what I want to watch? I want to watch a party of 5. I want to watch 5 people have a party. I want to see drugs, sex, intrigue, maybe Christ every now and then. Who knows? That's the fun and shenanigans of Party of 5. When you take these 5 people and put them through exactly, they're doing drugs with Jesus. Did you not follow the series of Party of 5? Did you have no idea what the show is about whatsoever? I certainly do. God, jeez. Like, when I watch Party of 5, I love that, like, storyline where Jesus and the baby decided to go do some cocaine with the third person of the party.
All right, Jeff.
All I can say is with Dawson's Creek, you have, like, Oscar quality actors come out of that. Michelle Williams. Michelle Williams,
yeah.
Even Katie Holmes is a good actress. Joshua Jackson, maybe not so much. Not Vanderbeek. I don't know. It's a stupid show about kids growing up near a creek. What more do you want me to say?
All right, Chris. Fun
Your rebuttal.
Quality actors, he says.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much sums this up. Jeff gets the point.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea.
What do you mean, oh, wow? He does clearly not know what Party of 5 is about. But anyway.
He wants the baby to do drugs, Jeff.
Yeah.
It sounds like a party to me, man.
I never watched the show either, so.
Is this? Yeah, okay. All right. Sorry. I was reading that wrong. All right. Next question. Music, best one-hit wonder, Soft Cell's Tainted Love, or The Knack's My Sharona?
My Sharona.
All right, go ahead, Chris.
Why is My Sharona be the number 1 hit or one of the best one-time hit wonders is because... Fuck. I thought Weird Al Yankovic had a song about this called My Corona, but he actually didn't. That was just a really bad tweet joke that he never did.
Too bad. I would have listened to that.
Yeah, I would have listened to that too. It would have made a great Weird Al Yankovic.
This is a great rebuttal so far. Yeah, this is a great
Your rebuttal.
All right, Jeff. Tainted Love.
Why? Because Tainted Love had one of the weirdest music videos of all time with 2 females that are in green suits that are just lights, and they're waking up this dude in his bed. That's weird, and the fact that became a one-hit wonder in and of itself is interesting. It's an okay song, like it's a very 80s, so you couldn't pick a more 80s song than Tainted Love. I don't know what to say other than it's weird. It's you got the floating head in space. I don't know what to say about this song other than I think about the
Your
80s.
rebuttal.
Sure, it's a weird song, but is it as catchy as My Sharona? I mean, My Sharona held the charts for a while. It's one of those songs, the moment you hear the title, you can almost hear the beat of the song. I mean, Tainted Love, I can't, sure, it's a weird video, but does that make it a great one-hit wonder, in my opinion? I don't know. I mean, My Sharona's rockin' top. I really don't know anything about My Sharona. Fuck.
All right.
Jeff,
Your rebuttal.
I would just say, the song I remember it most from I think Wedding Singer, Tainted Love. Whoa. I don't know. I don't like really either of these songs as one hit wonders. They're not ones I go back to for me as one hit wonders. But that's your question.
I just wanted to point out that Sam believes that Davan should have won that round.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between me and you is I'm the host and you're not. All right. So anyway, I'm going to give this one to, obviously, Jeff.
Goddamn right. You know what? I wish I'd picked the Tainted Love because then I could have referenced the Marilyn Manson had sampled it and then it made it like another top chart. And I thought, like, when I read My Sharona, I don't know what I was thinking, but I thought, oh yeah, I'll just make a reference about how Weird Al did a cover of that song. But I'm like, That's not the song I'm thinking of at all. I don't even know what song I was thinking of.
They both had equal success. That's the reason why I picked the both of them. So that way you guys couldn't go, oh, one of them sold out way more or something like that. So anyway. All right, let's move on. Speed round sports. Best position in hockey, center or goalie?
Okay.
All right, Chris, go ahead.
I would say the goalie is the best position because, arguably you don't have to run around back and forth on the ice and sweat your balls off, although I'm sure there's a great amount of sweating because those guys have to drop. And honestly, the more important integral role of hockey, as they are the last stopping force of the opposing team getting a goal on your team. If you fuck up, then you fucked up and failed the team, right? But if you're on top of the ball and or on top of the puck, I should say, and you keep it from out the net, then you're doing your best job and you're carrying your team farther into the series.
All right, Jeff, center. Why?
Center's only got to play 20 minutes a game, pretty much max. A goalie's got to play the whole game. You got to wear way heavier equipment. A center gets paid a lot more money. There's a lot of perks to being a center. You get other players to play with a goalie. You're on your own. You get defensemen, sure, but that's not a lot. I think a goalie's got a way tougher job. But if I was to pick one, I'd rather play center.
Your rebuttal,
Chris.
Perks are nice and all if you want to be a lazy player, but if you want to be the best player and the best position on a team, be a goalie. Hold down the fort for an entire game or half a game. Maybe you need to switch out with your teammate. But being, center, like you said, you only get 20 minutes on the board. You get to take some breaks. You get to pass around, move around. That doesn't really sound like the best position. That sounds like an easy position to me. Being the best in a position would be goalie because you're getting to be the best player on the team. You're keeping the points from happening. If all else fails before you, if the center fails before you.
Well, to be a center is probably the hardest position that's not a goalie because you have to basically help out your defenseman, come back all the time, and then skate back up with your forwards. You're doing the most cardio for sure. Whereas a goalie is more stationary. It's more pushing off. It's fast lateral movements, whereas a center has to be basically a soccer player almost, the amount he has to move.
So is it hard or easy? Is it best? What is it?
Yeah, I don't understand the question. Best is a weird.
That's why I wrote it that way. I wanted to see how you guys interpreted it. Based on how you two interpreted it, I'm actually going to give this one to Chris.
Okay.
And I didn't think I would. But his argument did have a couple things at the end that I liked. So there we are. Oh, geez. We're still tied?
Yeah.
Dude, this is heated.
And we have 2 questions left.
This is dumb.
Let's see if they split them or not. All right.
All right. Next one. Speed round history. Best version of Windows operating system. Windows XP or Windows 7? XP. Whoever said that gets to go first.
It's been a long time since I've admittedly used Windows XP, but it was the most simple operating system at the time. It had its bugs, but it didn't have as many bugs as Windows 7 obviously presented when it was released. Windows XP was the more universally liked of all the Windows operating systems, in my opinion, because of its simple and sleek design and how easy it was to navigate menus and stuff like that. Windows 7 really bugged it up because they were trying to go with modern.
Your rebuttal.
Okay, so for usability, yes, XP was definitely better, but for improved performance, I would say Windows 7 had a lot more features on it. Like it could do, you could use touchscreens, you could do, virtual disks, you could do all sorts of multi-core processors where you couldn't do that before. So it was kind of like the transition between XP and 10, and it needed to happen. And what was it necessarily the best operating system? No, but it accomplished its goal.
I would argue that the transition to 10, and some people would argue Windows 10 is not that great of an operating system. The more bells and whistles they add onto it, it means the more bugs and problems and blue screens that you get with Windows. With Windows XP, because of its simplicity, that made it the best of this operating systems. It was cleaner. It had less troubles. The more upgrades they do, the more updates you need, and the more crashes you get, and the more headaches you have because you're losing time and you're losing work, and that's not
your rebuttal.
Yeah, like if you're definitely want an operating system that's the most like basic, then you want XP. But if you want to be able to do certain things, you might not be able to do it on XP. You might need a more modern software, and that's why Windows 7 came in to kind of start that transition. But because it needed to happen eventually, we couldn't stay with XP forever. You know what I mean? So they needed to make a Windows 7, and it was going to have the most bugs. It was going to have the most problems, but it kind of needed to be that way. It was kind of like restarting the whole software again, from even like 95.
All right. You both made excellent points here. However, one of you actually captured a couple things that I really liked, including multi-core processing. So I'm going to give this one to Jeff. Alrighty. And actually, I still, if I had to pick between the two, I'd go back to XP any day. Because XP was
so
great.
then you'd argue that's the best version.
I would, but that's not who's arguing. It's you guys, not me. All right. Anyway, just because I like it doesn't mean it's the right answer. All right. Speed round, wild card. Who would win in the what?
Oh, dude, this is like my question.
I didn't pick this question.
Oh, 1 second. One
That's
moment.
not my
That's
question.
my question from last episode.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say, that's not the question. I don't
I'll pick
disagree,
Bender.
but
He was a champion.
okay. Well,
Game
that's
over. I
great,
win.
but
Thanks, guys.
Hold on.
We're just waiting for it to come up here.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, wild card. Best arcade shooter: Galaga from 1981 or
Galaga.
Asteroids from 79.
I'll take Asteroids.
All right, so Galaga.
I mean, Galaga was full color, baby. That was like 8-bit full color. You got a sweet soundtrack. One of the best like dying sounds ever. Like and the waves of aliens all differentiating. What's Asteroids? Ooh, 1 circle, 2 circles, 3 circles, 4, maybe more. Who knows? Watch out for the circles. The arrow's gonna get them. With Galaga, you had a cool ship, cool aliens. You had to defend bases. You had to fly through space.
Your rebuttal.
What more do you need?
Okay, so with Asteroid, you're in the middle, and you're 360. You're turning around. Yes, you're blowing up things, and they turn into other little circles coming towards you. But you got to be quick. Whereas with Galaga, you're always on the bottom. You're always shooting up, and you're going back and forth. So yes, it's in color, but I think the gameplay of Asteroids is much more superior. I think that it's definitely a harder game for me than Galaga's a little easier.
Your rebuttal.
I would argue that Galaga would be a far harder game than Asteroids. Asteroids, sure, they come in and you have to like flip between screens. That was a cool feature. But with Galaga, there's more waves, more firepower. You have to basically deal with the complexities of each level as they come at you. With Asteroids, it's literally just more rocks. It's just piling rocks on you, and you're spinning in circles and shooting lanes. Like there's no diversity.
Your rebuttal.
Like Galaga had diversity.
Well, I would say like the diversity with Asteroids is the fact that you're in the middle and you're turning, and whereas so it's a whole feature that you have to take into account. Whereas with Galaga, it's more what's coming at you, like you said, so they're different. To each your own. I don't think color really makes a big difference, though. I think if you're black and white, it's whatever.
I would argue art makes a big difference.
All right, Jody. This is for all the marbles here.
This is a hard one because I love both these games. They are both dear to my heart for different reasons, but I won't get into that. Chris, you made some great points about Galaga. I did like that. Galaga is probably my all-time favorite game. I even plan on getting a tattoo for Galaga. So it's something that is very dear to me. Asteroids was one of the first games I ever played. And it also holds a very dear connection to me. I did like Jeff's answer on how it's a 360 experience. That definitely makes the argument a little bit nicer. The color thing in artwork, I also agree with you though, Chris. I think artwork is important.
I also talked about music.
You did. Asteroids doesn't really have music for the most part, but it's got some weird wonky sound effects, which are always fun. But we're also dealing with a couple years difference as well. So there's a lot of advancements were happening. based on gameplay and how you guys have said how the gameplay works and stuff like that, I hate to do it. I'm gonna give it to Jeff. What? And I don't want to give it to Jeff because I absolutely adore Galaga. Galaga is my favorite game of all time. I have so many awesome memories of Galaga. But it's, I didn't want to do that, but I had to.
Why?
Anyway,
what was it? Was it the 360
actually
shooting
the 360
argument?
thing is really what got you, because it's like,
I knew it.
it's
As soon
not
as you
just
said
one
that,
plane,
I was like,
it's all of them, right?
You know what that means,
yeah.
Jeff or Jody? Jeff is the winner.
well done, sir. Well done.
He's got his dog with him today.
She looks thrilled.
She looks really thrilled. Yeah, really, really thrilled. She's got the same face that Chris has right now. Which is, why am I here? I'm really sorry, Chris, because I really wanted to give that one to you. But
I thought I made so many good points.
More. That was better.
I mean, like, it's admittedly that one like gameplay aspect is what holds Asteroids over Galaga, but I would like. There's so much more to Galaga.
If he didn't say that, you would have won. 100%. 100%.
I thought I had it in the ring. I'm like, what am I, an arrow shooting circles? Come on, where's the fun in that? Like,
an arrow shooting circles.
All right. Anyway, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys' participation. Congratulations, Jeff. Chris, you fought very hard. And it was well done as well. Your arguments were fantastic, and at Davan as well, even though Davan has already left us.
He's just in the comments trolling you mostly.
Yeah, that's fine. It's pretty normal. That's fairly normal for Davan.
Because he said that Tainted Love is actually about Jody's heart.
Some say Jody's heart is an astronaut.
Oh no, he said Tainted Love is about me and Jody. Is what he says here. Which I thought was.
You know what, Davan? The hosting spot's probably available for next.
Yes, it is.
And if you're hosting, I'll be more than happy to come on and be a contestant.
He was thinking, I don't want to wait, just like Dawson's Creek. I don't want to wait for my life to be over.
I have to admit, though, that was the question that I enjoyed the most.
That was funny. Just when it was
because
like,
I almost gave it to Chris just on his description because I would totally watch.
He's
that
like this
show.
Vanderbeek puff piece. That was good.
I like if I
party with 5 people in it. Doing drugs, talking to God.
I'm like, yeah, one was a baby, one was like 4.
Yeah.
And like Nev Campbell and
it's
Matthew
a bunch
Fox.
of siblings that lost their parents in
a car crash.
In a car crash,
it's like Seventh Heaven or something. Shit,
kind of.
I could have argued for Seventh Heaven. I at least watched like a handful of those, waiting for other shows to come on WB. Like I. If I picked Dawson's Creek, I've been like,
Jeff's gotta go.
That guy Dawson and his Creek.
Thanks. Oh, Jeff, you won though.
Later, Jeff.
I know.
Yeah, but he's got to go. He's got
we're
babies and stuff like that.
Yeah, babies. All right, babies.
Yeah.
Well done, winner. Cheers.
Congratulations,
well done.
Jeff.
Okay,
Chris, you did well.
We're losing people left and right here.
Yeah, we are. That's okay. What
lost,
else?
But I'm the last man standing.
But you know what, Dave? Just because we lose some people doesn't mean that there isn't other things to watch on this network of shows.
That's right, Jody. Did you know that? Well, I know you know that every Monday,
I've heard
Jody,
some things.
Every Monday we talk about Star Trek Enterprise on our other channel, Live Long and Podcast.
I'm waiting for Chris to come on the show.
Yeah, well, I invited him on, but he's not familiar with Enterprise enough. He feels like
you should at least watch an episode and then you can come on.
Like, all right, Monday tomorrow.
It's Monday.
Right,
what episode are we doing? We're doing
tomorrow's episode. Is called
second season
Singularity.
7 or 8, I think we're on.
Singularity.
I'm not a big fan of
season
jumping in the
2, episode
thing,
9 is tomorrow.
All right. If you want to, if you don't feel the pressure, but
or in the
you're
future,
always welcome.
I might.
Davin as well is always welcome. I just usually
I
have
might.
to kibosh his talking. But
yeah, sometimes it's just to analyze a Star Trek episode, because that's the good thing about Enterprise is it's not too serialized. And then with Star Trek Deep Space Nine at 9ish every Tuesday with Jeff Mader, we have been covering every episode of Deep Space Nine for over 2 years now. We knew it would be a
3.5 year junior.
we knew it would at least be a 3.5 year journey. That was before we took 2 months off. So we're probably pushing that closer to 4 years. But coming up is season 5, episode 21, Soldiers of the Empire.
That's a good one. I remember that one. It's a good
one. That's where Martok and Worf go on their first mission on the Rotaran together.
That's a good Worf episode.
Yeah,
and that's hard for me to say.
Exactly.
Because I don't like Worf. But anyway.
Yeah, I know. But he likes you, I guess, maybe.
I'm looking forward to seeing silver-haired Worf and Picard.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, I am. I am actually. I'm interested, especially the little voice quote that they did for Worf. I like that one. So.
I remain vigilant.
That's right. And then we have our other series shows like Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Lower Decks, Star Trek Prodigy, Star Trek. Who else am I forgetting? Discovery.
Basically, if it's Star Trek, we're covering it.
Yeah, Picard, all of these new things. There were some cool announcements that came out of the San Diego Comic-Con, which I'm excited to get into. Including
not all of them are cool, though.
Well, some mixed response from the Live Long and podcasters, but coming up, there might be some crossovers or things like that. So if you want to know about those Star Trek shows and our thoughts on them, check out our other channel, Live Long and Podcast. Plus, we also have Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, a channel where Jeff and I and Jameel, we're often talking about reality TV shows.
But an unexpected turn of events has now changed everything.
That's right. Big Brother 24 in full effect right now. Every Sunday, Wednesday, and usually Thursdays, we're talking about that show as they're heading into their 3rd week. We'll be on tonight to talk about.
So get your chocolates and gather your cats. It's time for Big Brother.
It's Big Brother. So it's all in the spirit of it all.
Big Brother.
That's right.
Big Brother.
And then Survivor we've talked about. We talk about Big Brother Canada. We talked about a bunch of Marvel shows, different things over there on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting. Plus, you can also check out we got Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan, who would do the Hellbound podcast. They do that every Wednesday. They talk about horror themed things. There's
Chris has a YouTube channel.
Chris has his own YouTube channel.
I do.
What's that called?
Worldmind. You can find me on YouTube. You can also find me on Twitch, Worldmind. And also Instagram, Worldmind. I do photos, I do video, I make things from time to time.
Do we plug Davan even though he left?
I don't know.
I mean, he's got that X-Men podcast. He's pretty fun.
He does have that X-rated podcast. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, X-Men the animated series, X-rated. He does with Andre every Tuesday. They just did Lenore Zahn interview. That was really cool and great. Watch the whole thing. It was excellent. Sugar.
Yeah. Also does Locutors of Trek as well with Dave.
He does Locutor of Trek with Dave. Other Dave Pugsley. And they've got that going on. They're doing different things over there, writers' rooms, trivia. They do different things on Locutors of Trek. If you like Star Trek, but you don't like Live Long and Podcast, check out Locutors of Trek. Or maybe you do.
If you don't like this swivel, go over there.
Yeah. If you don't like this brand, then there's another flavor, a Nova Scotian one. And what else, guys? Let's talk about fighting games with Eamon Mader under his alias Sam Jerka under Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcasts. And I think those are the majority of the clips and things to plug. So thank you for being with us tonight. Jody, thank you for hosting.
Thank you,
really appreciate it. I know it's not always easy being the host.
I'm okay with being hated. It's fine.
Yeah, right.
You goddamn right.
You goddamn right.
Right.
I should have won that website answer, motherfucker.
Go on.
I wanted to give it to you.
Turkish Facebook. It was what it took you down today. All right. And on that note, we will see you next time. Let's play some Funk Down to get out of here.